Today we're talking about trig. When we talk about trigonometry, all that is about triangles, right? And the triangles we have focused on almost entirely are right triangles, right? Right triangles. So today we're going to talk about two specific types of right triangles. One is called a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. It's called a 30, 60, 90 because it has one angle 30 degrees, one angle 60 degrees, and one angle is the right angle. Okay, that's the first one we're going to talk about. Okay, so it's a special right triangle because its sides, I've highlighted them on mine, its three sides have relationships. They're all related in some way. Okay, now the short leg, the yellow, the short leg. It's the short leg because it's created by the small angle, right? Small openings make small, like if I were to put my hands together, close together like that, that's a small angle. So the distance between my fingers is pretty small. But if I were to open it up, now the distance between my fingers is really long, is longer, right? Is bigger. That's the same thing. With a triangle, 30 degrees here. So this 30-degree angle creates this side here. It's smaller than the side that's created by the 60 degree, the green, right? How much smaller? Well, over here and in the table is kind of our cheat sheet. Okay. So if they're going to give us, they're always going to give us one side. If they give us two sides, we don't need any of this. You can just use the Pythagorean theorem. But today they're going to give us one side, and we have to figure out the other two sides. Okay? They're going to give us the yellow, and we have to figure out the green or the orange. Or they're going to give us the orange, and we have to figure out the green or the yellow. It's going to be something like that. So we're going to start here. Whatever they've given you first. Start with whatever they've given you. The next column, what do I need? What am I trying to find? Once you do that, this is how you're going to do it. That's how you're going to do it. Okay? So if they've given you the short leg and you need to find the hypotenuse, you're going to multiply the short leg by 2. If they've given you a short leg but you want to find the long leg, you're going to multiply by the square root of 3. Same with the long leg if you're trying to find the short leg, and then same thing with hypotenuse if you're trying to find the short leg. So the hardest part about today is what have they given me and what am I trying to find? Okay. All right, so let's look at example number 1. 1A. It's a right triangle. It's a 30, 60, 90. I know that because it has a 90, it has a 30, and then the only angle that could be here is a 30. Has to be 30 because it can't go 1 over 180. So it's a 30, 60, 90. Okay. So I have 3 sides, x, y, and 10. So let's start with 10. What is 10? Is it a leg? Is it the short leg? Is it the long leg? Or is it the hypotenuse? It's the hypotenuse, right? Yeah. Because it's opposite 90 degrees. So that's the hypotenuse. Okay. Let's go to x. Is x the long leg or the short leg? It's the long leg because it's made by the 60-degree angle. This 60-degree angle made the green side. And then the short side, I'm going to color code it just so that it's a little more, is y. So we have to figure out the short side and we have to figure out the long side. Doesn't matter which one we do first. At the end, we just have to have both. So I'm going to go to my cheat sheet here. This is kind of your cheat sheet. This is what you're going to use more than anything, this table right above it. So it doesn't matter which one you find, the green or the yellow. Doesn't matter. I know the hypotenuse. So let me go to my list of given. I'm given the hypotenuse, right? I know this, the orange is 10. So if I know that the hypotenuse and I want to find the short leg, I'm going to divide the hypotenuse by 2. Okay? So I'm going to take the hypotenuse and divide it by 2, and that will be the short leg. So the short leg is right here. Divided by 2, you get 5. Okay. So now I have the short leg and the hypotenuse. Now I need to find the long leg. So I want to find the long leg. So I go to my table. These are my wants. Here's the long leg. So to find, these are my wants here. So I'm going to take the short leg and multiply it by the square root of 3. So the short leg is 5. So I'm going to take 5 and multiply it times the square root of 3. Can I multiply those to make square root 15? No, because one is on the inside and one is on the outside. So because of that, I am done. 3 doesn't have any pairs. 3 is just 3 times 1, so I don't have to simplify that. Okay. All right, let's do 1b now. 30, 60, 90. Oops, not 30. This is going to be 60. Okay, so what side am I missing? Or what side am I given? Let's start with the given side. Is that a short leg, long leg, or hypotenuse? Long leg, yep. This is a long leg. So I need to find the short leg, which is 30, and the hypotenuse, the short leg is y, and the hypotenuse is x. Okay, so I'm going to go to my table. I'm given the long leg. I'm given the long leg. If I want to find the short leg, I'm going to divide by the square root of 3. So I'm going to take the long leg and divide it by the square root of 3. So let me do that. (12) divided by the square root of 3. What's the problem? Why can't I say I'm done with that one? What's the problem here? We did this before testing. What's the problem with 12 divided by the square root of 3? Finishing, saying I'm done. Yeah, we can't have a square root at the bottom. We can't finish with a root on the bottom. We can finish with a root on the top, but not on the bottom. So to do that, to fix it, we have to do what's called rationalizing. That's multiplying by the square root. So we multiply straight across. I can't multiply 12 and 3 to make 36 because one has a square root and one doesn't. What's the square root of 3 times the square root of 3? It's just regular 3, yeah. Because it's the square root of 9, which is just 3. Okay. So now I have the square root on top. That's okay. No square roots on the bottom. But I can reduce. 12 and 3 are both on the outside, so I can reduce them. I can divide them both by 3. And since 1's on the bottom, I don't need to write the 1. Okay. So that is going to be the short side. Now I have to find the hypotenuse. So let me go to my list. If you want the hypotenuse, the top line, you're going to need to multiply the short leg by 2. So if I want the hypotenuse, I'm going to need to multiply the short leg by 2. Well, we just found the short leg. Right? We just found what the short leg was, 4 square root 3. So when I multiply by 2, am I going to multiply by, can I multiply 2 times 4? Yep. Can I multiply 2 times 3? Can I multiply 2 times 3? No, because 3 is on the inside, 2 is on the outside. So I just multiply 4 times 2, and I get 8 square root 3. So the short side is 4 square root 3. The hypotenuse is 8 square root 3. Okay, that's a 30, 60, 90. All right, so let's go to the back and let's look at a 45, 45, 90. For which one? For this one?
Yeah, it would.
So I wanted to find the hypotenuse, right?
Or 2 by the square root of 3.
So if I want to find the hypotenuse, it says multiply the short leg by 2. So the short leg was this guy here, right? So that's why I multiplied this times this. Yeah, I didn't need to do that because, I wasn't looking. Yeah, that's all I needed to do for that one, yeah. Okay, all right, so now 45, 45, 90. This one's easier because the two legs are always the same size. The same angle, 45 and 45 make the same size legs. Same opening makes the same size legs. Okay? The only one that's not the same is the hypotenuse. So to get that, you're just going to multiply one of the legs times the square root of 2. If you start with the hypotenuse and you want to get a leg, you divide by the square root of 2. So it just depends on what's given. Okay? Okay, so let's look at 2a. Okay, so it's a 45, 45, 90. I know that because one is 45, one is 90 degrees, so the other one has to be 45. Okay. Now, what is given? Which part is given? A leg or a hypotenuse? A leg. Good, yeah, a leg is given. Y is the other leg. X is the hypotenuse. Which is the easiest to find, X or Y? Y, yeah. How come? It's the same. If I have one leg for a 45, 45, 90, I get the other leg. Okay, so let me go to I need to find the hypotenuse now. So I want the hypotenuse. So I'm going to multiply one of the legs times the square root of 2. Okay, so I'm going to multiply one of the legs times the square root of 2. So the square root of 2 times one of the legs. They're both the same. Okay. So can I multiply the square root of 2 times 3 to make the square root of 6? Can I multiply the square root of 2 times the 3 on the outside to make the square root of 6? Yeah, nope, I can't because one's on the inside, one is not. So that one's a no. So can I multiply the square root of 2 times the square root of 2? That one I can because they're both on the inside, right? So I get 3 times the square root of 4. Well, the square root of 4 is just 2. So really it's 3 times 2, which is 6. Okay. All right, let's do B. 2B now. So 45, 45, 90. So now they've given me a hypotenuse. I need to find the other two legs. Okay, so I'm going to go to my table, my cheat sheet table here. They've given a hypotenuse, I have to find a leg. So I'm going to divide the hypotenuse by the square root of 2. Okay. So I'm going to divide one of them by the square root of 2. So I have 2 square root 6 divided by the square root of 2. You can do this 2 ways. I got a square root on the bottom, right? Don't I have a square root on the bottom? when I have a square root at the bottom, what do I do to get rid of that? Multiply by the square root of 2, right? So the bottom is just going to be 2, right? The top. Am I going to multiply the top? Am I going to multiply 2 times 2? Or am I going to multiply 6 times 2? 6 times 2, right? So I get 2 on the outside, and I get square root of 12. What else can I do? If I put that in delta math, I wouldn't get a right answer. You can divide both of these by 2, right? So that leaves the square root of 12. If I were to put that in delta math, I'd get it wrong. Why? I didn't do anything wrong, but what have I not done or forgot to do?
The other side. Wrong.
Well, yeah, that too, yeah. Okay. But before I get to y, what's wrong with the square root of 12? I didn't do anything wrong. My math is fine. But what's wrong with the square root of 12 that I haven't done?
You can break it down.
Look for pairs. Yep. There's a pair. There's pairs in square root of 12. 12 is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 3. Right? If you break down you got a pair of 2's that I can take out front. That leaves 3. That is the answer they want. That's fully simplified.
So instead of like doing the cross multiply, can't you just divide the square root of 6 by the square root of 2?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Exactly what I was going to say. There's a way to skip all that, right? Let's go back here. This guy here, well, if we multiply things that have roots together, right? So can't we divide them? We could, right? So when I divide these two guys, what do I get? Square root of 3. So isn't this really 2 square root 3? Which is your answer, right? That's the other way to do it. Whichever way you want. I don't care which way you want. One way is shorter than the other. But, if it doesn't make, if you didn't see this, doing it this way would work too, right? Because, yeah, you can totally do it this way. You do it this way. So you could do it, you could say, oh, yeah, isn't it 2? And then you have square root of 6 divided by 2, which is 2 square root 3. That works too. Okay. And then y is also 2 square root 3. Okay. Either way. All right. Okay, so now the last thing is your practice. This is where you're going to do some practice on your own. I have 2 tables. What I want you to do is fill in the stuff on your table. Make your table look like my table. Do 30, 60, 90 first. The first column is the short leg. The second column is the long leg. And the third column is the hypotenuse. Okay, so fill in the given. This is all the given parts. So fill those in, and then I'm going to give you the given parts for the second one, for the second box, second table. So what you're going to do eventually is fill out the missing parts. The yellow parts are missing. You're going to fill them in with the correct answer. So this is, what is it, 9? Not 9. I labeled it wrong. It's supposed to be 8. 8 triangles. There's 8 triangles. Find the missing. Okay, find the missing parts. So let me give you the second triangle now, or the second box. The second box is for 45, 45, 90. So find those. I labeled it wrong again. They're supposed to be 8. Okay, so what you're going to do is find the missing parts. So we'll do one together. We can do one together. So take a look at them. The key is draw triangles. It'll take you 2 seconds to draw a triangle. But if you draw a triangle, it becomes visual and it's a lot easier to see and it's a lot easier to do.
So for the first one, which one's the...
Oh, yeah, for this guy here. The first column is a leg. The next one is the leg. The last one is the hypotenuse. So for a 45, 45, 90, the 2 legs are the same.
What about the special one?
The one above it?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's see.
The 36.
The first one is the short leg. Second column is the long leg. Third one is hypotenuse. Short leg, long leg, hypotenuse. Okay. So which ones are, so for the 45, 45, 90, there's some boxes I can fill in pretty quickly, right? What's true about a 45, 45, 90 in the legs? The legs are always the same. So if they've given me one leg, I can find another leg. Like number 1 on 45, 45, 90, that has to be 8. This has to be 7. This has to be square root 3. 5 square root 7. 7 square root 2. All of those have to be true because the legs are the same. Okay, so I'll do one with you guys. I'll do a 45 or a 30, 60, 90 first. So I drew a little triangle out here because it's going to help me. It's going to help me try to find the missing parts. So I'll do number 1. Number 1, the short leg. The short leg is 6. All right, so I'm going to put a 6 over here. The long leg is 6 times the square root of 3. We're missing this guy right here. So I have a short leg and I have a long leg, and I need the hypotenuse. So let me go to my cheat sheet table. I want the hypotenuse. That's what I want, right? Right here. So that means I'm going to take the short leg and multiply it times 2. I'm going to take the short leg and multiply it times 2. The short leg is 6. So 6 times 2 is 12. Okay. So what you're going to do for these is fill out the rest. Fill it out so that there's no missing parts. No column, no row has a missing part. Okay? I'll give you 10, 15 minutes to do it. It's going to take you a little bit of time. Some of these you're going to need to draw a triangle. Some of them you won't need to draw a triangle. It's up to you. If you want to draw triangles for all of them, go for it. If it helps you, I'd rather you do that than get the right answer than try to find shortcuts and get more confused. So if this one's not making sense to you, like number 2 is not making sense to you, draw a triangle. It'll take you about 5 seconds to draw a triangle. The short leg is 8. The hypotenuse is 6. I have to find the long leg. So my table says if I want the long leg, I need to multiply the short leg by the square root of 3. Well, this is the short leg over here. So it's 8 times the square root of 3. I can't multiply those together to make 24. Square root 3. Okay. So you're going to do that for both boxes. I'll give you the answers in about 15 minutes or so. I'll give you the answer key. Okay. All right. So the 30, 60, 90 table. Here are the missing ones. Here are the missing pieces here. So if you have anything, change it. And then the 45, 45, 90 table is right.